My name is Emily Carter, 36 years old, married for 11 years to a man the world would swear is perfect. His name is Daniel Carter, an architecture consultant, clean haircut, deep voice, church-going smile, the kind of husband women envy and men admire. I used to believe I won some impossible lottery when I married him. We live in Charlotte, North Carolina, in a brick-front suburban home with hydrangeas blooming along the walkway. From the outside, our life looks curated. 2 kids, a golden retriever, holiday photos that look like postcard ads, and the sound of Daniel's laughter echoing through the kitchen on Sunday mornings. But perfection hides well. It hides behind thick foundations and fresh paint. This story begins on a Friday, the kind of Friday where the air felt thick, like the universe was holding something in its lungs. Daniel kissed my forehead that morning, grabbed his briefcase, said, "I'll be in Raleigh all weekend. Client presentation. You know how it goes." I nodded. I always nodded. I trusted him. By lunchtime, I was at Charlotte Women's Clinic for my routine checkup. Nothing dramatic, just biology doing its confusing monthly dance. The hallways were white, smelling faintly of sanitizer and lavender air freshener. The nurse who always assists me, Martha, walked in with her chart. She's usually cheerful, talkative, motherly, but today she was stiff, cautious, avoiding my eyes. Then she did something strange. While checking my blood pressure, she slid her phone toward me, screen turned upward, almost like she didn't want to be caught doing it. A photo. A man with broad shoulders, navy suit, brown loafers. Daniel? I blinked, confused at first. Martha whispered, her tone shaking. "Is this your husband?" I lifted my eyes instantly. "Yes." "Why?" There was a hesitation, one of those pauses where someone battles morality and fear. Martha bit her lip and said softly, "He was here last month. Brought a woman. They were close. He signed her forms." Her voice dropped further. "She had an abortion." The walls shifted. My ears rang. I stared at the image, forcing myself to breathe. Who was the girl? Martha glanced around, lowered the brightness, zoomed in slightly, revealing the girl's side profile. That's when the world cracked. It was my sister-in-law, Daniel's younger sister, Hannah, 23 years old, blonde hair, kind smile, lived 20 minutes away. My stomach tightened. I whispered, "You're mistaken." Martha shook her head. "I wouldn't have asked if I wasn't sure." They came together. He checked her in as the emergency contact. They hugged. It didn't look brotherly. My throat felt like gravel. I didn't cry there. I didn't ask more. I finished the checkup like a mechanical puppet and walked through the hallway, past mothers holding newborns and teenagers biting their nails. Outside, the sky looked normal, which felt insulting. Driving home, silence was loud. Every red light seemed to stare at me. I tried rationalizing. There's an explanation. Maybe he was helping her through something. Maybe Martha misunderstood. Reasoning is a survival technique. When I reached the house, I sat in the driveway and watched our kids' chalk drawings on the pavement. Hearts, rainbows, Mommy plus Daddy. It hurt. I didn't tell anyone. Instead, I baked cookies, asked the kids about school, and laughed where laughter didn't belong. That night, the kids fell asleep with chocolate-smudged faces. At 10:47 p.m., Daniel FaceTimed. Hotel background. Suit jacket hung behind him, smiling. Big day tomorrow. Wish you were here. How was your appointment? The sound of his voice, once comforting, now sounded like fiction. I forced a smile. Routine. Everything's fine. He winked. That's my girl. I'll bring breakfast when I get back Sunday. After the call, I stared at my reflection in the dark phone screen. I didn't sleep. Saturday morning, I grabbed coffee and went for a drive. My excuse was fresh air. But the truth was, curiosity tasted like poison. My mind replayed Martha's words. I didn't want evidence, but I needed it. I drove to Raleigh, 2 hours away, where Daniel was supposedly presenting. His company sometimes used Hilton Riverside Hotel. I didn't even know what I expected to find. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. The lobby smelled of citrus and expensive cologne. A young receptionist smiled politely. Checking in? No, thank you. Just visiting. I scanned the lounge, pretending to text. Table 3. Blue suit coat over the chair. Familiar posture. Hair I'd kissed 1,000 times. Daniel? Across from him. Hannah. Her hand over his. Laughing. Not siblings laughing. When he brushed a strand of her hair behind her ear, the truth became undeniable. I didn't walk toward them. I didn't scream. I turned around so fast, my heel slipped. Outside, the December wind slapped me. I sat in my car and watched from the lot until they came out 2 hours later, holding hands casually, like lovers pretending not to exist. They walked toward a black rental sedan. He opened her door. My pulse refused to slow. I drove home on autopilot, gripping the wheel until my knuckles whitened. The house greeted me with the smell of fabric softener and crayons. I didn't collapse. I vacuumed, cleaned countertops, folded laundry. It's funny. When you discover the world you lived in is counterfeit, you suddenly crave control over socks and dishes. That night, I lay beside my kids, listening to their soft breathing. It anchored me. Sunday morning, Daniel came home, 3 hours earlier than planned. He walked in with croissants and tulips, kissed my lips, hugged our children, acted like a man with nothing to hide. He showered long, humming under running water. When he walked into the kitchen, dressed in jeans and smelling like hotel shampoo, he leaned in. You okay? You seem quiet. I managed a neutral shrug. Tired. He touched my cheek. You need a break. I love you. Those 3 words sounded like a reminder to play my role correctly. In that moment, clarity washed over me. The destruction of my marriage had begun long before I noticed. This was simply the day the curtain fell. I didn't confront him. Not yet. People think discovery equals confrontation. But denial is heavy. Shock paralyzes. And betrayal isn't just pain. It's strategy. You observe first, identify exits, protect children. Then you ask questions. But I did one thing. I started watching him closely. Monday morning, I called Martha and thanked her, not with bitterness, but a resignation she understood. She whispered, "You're stronger than you know." Maybe I wasn't. Maybe I was just numb. For the next 2 weeks, I acted normal, packed lunches, attended PTA meetings, had sex with my husband and smiled through it. But I noticed everything. His second phone he never let me touch. Late-night messages he muted. Sudden anxiety when Hannah texted. A softness in his voice when he said her name. You can't unsee truth once it walks through your front door. The breaking point came on a Thursday night. Daniel fell asleep on the couch. His jacket pocket vibrated. His second phone. I took it. Fingerprint lock. I didn't need to open it, because the caller ID had her initials. HM, Hannah Marshall. I set the phone down and stared at the man I'd built a life with. Then I did something small but irreversible. I sent a text to my lawyer friend. We need to talk. That was the moment the story changed. Not the discovery, but the decision. People always ask, what did you feel? I felt like a house that looked stable, but had termites eating its beams. When you learn a truth heavy enough to split your life in half, your body reacts before your mind does. Mine began waking up at 3:17 a.m. every night, heart racing, as if danger stood beside me. But Daniel slept peacefully. By the third week after discovering his secret life, my numbness faded and something colder entered. Calculation. I didn't tell anyone yet, not my sister, not my best friend. The moment you speak a truth out loud, it becomes real. I wasn't ready for real. My lawyer friend, Rebecca Shaw, met me discreetly at a downtown cafe the next Monday. We chose a booth in the far corner. She had her glasses on, a thick stack of files under her arm. "What's going on?" she asked gently. I stared at the condensation on my iced tea. "My husband is having an affair," I whispered. "With his own sister." Rebecca's jaw tightened, but she didn't gasp. Lawyers don't react. They absorb. "Do you have proof?" "Visual?" I said. "Witness confirmation?" She leaned forward. "Emily, this isn't just adultery. This is criminal, psychological, destructive." I nodded, but I couldn't say the word incest. It stuck in my throat like glass. She opened a folder. "There are 2 ways women respond. Confrontation first or evidence first. Which one are you?" "Evidence," I whispered. She reached across the table. "Then you'll need to become someone you never imagined." And that's exactly what happened. Back home, life tried to continue, but I saw everything differently. Daniel stood at the kitchen island that night, chopping cilantro. His sleeves rolled up, wedding band shining. He told me about work, deadlines, contracts. I watched him like a stranger and wondered, how long? Why her? What is broken inside you? He made tacos, kissed my cheek, told me he loved me. I looked at the sink instead of him when I answered, I know. He thought that meant I believed him. Meanwhile, I began my quiet war. The first battle was observation. Daniel and Hannah met twice more over the next week, always in professional cities. Raleigh, Wilmington, Asheville. He used hotel conference halls as alibis. The first time I followed them, I sat in my car, 2 blocks away, watching them walk into a restaurant. He placed his hand on her lower back. The intimacy of it made nausea rise. Somewhere between the parking meter and my windshield, I realized something. He didn't love me anymore. But worse, I don't think he ever did. My next move was subtle. Daniel had an office in the basement, soundproofed, expensive, his sacred space. No one touched his things. But one Wednesday night, while he showered upstairs, I went down quietly. The room smelled like cedar and ink. His desk drawer was locked. I used a bobby pin, hands trembling. Inside, a journal, receipts, 2 passports, a storage locker key. My breath hitched. The journal had her initials on page 1, HM. Entry after entry, he wrote about her struggles, how he saved her, how she was fragile and lost. But then there were lines that broke me. Sometimes love doesn't choose correct paths. It chooses necessary ones. I am her protector, her meaning. Emily suspects nothing. Seeing my name in the book made my hands shake, not because he lied, but because he made my ignorance a point of pride. I returned the journal, locked the drawer, walked upstairs, and washed my face like nothing happened. I came back to bed before he did. 2 days later, Daniel left for a work meeting. I dropped the kids at school, then drove to Safe Vault Storage, address written on the key tag, Unit 416. Inside, 2 suitcases, a briefcase, a small pregnancy ultrasound picture taped to the inside wall, the date printed, 12 weeks earlier, name on file, Hannah Marshall. I backed up so fast the metal wall rattled. It wasn't just a fling. It wasn't just emotional. She had been pregnant, and he was the emergency contact. Abortion wasn't a whispered wrong choice anymore. It was a cover-up. I locked the unit, hands numb. That Saturday morning, Daniel was cheerful, playful even. He made pancakes shaped like dinosaurs for the kids. He tugged me into his lap, kissed my neck, whispered, "Where did my smile go?" There was a part of me that almost melted. Familiar warmth, the smell of him, the routine. But then I remembered the ultrasound. I pulled away politely. Just tired. Rebecca called that afternoon. "Ready to talk strategy?" Her tone was crisp. "Yes." "Then listen carefully," she said. "You need 3 things. documented evidence, financial mapping, and psychological safety planning in case he reacts aggressively. Aggressive? Daniel? No. But then I remembered the way he spoke to Hannah in that restaurant. Possessive, intense. Maybe some parts of him weren't visible to me. She continued. And second, stop confronting in your mind. You won't win with anger. You'll win with truth. 2 weeks into evidence collection, Daniel grew strangely affectionate. Too affectionate. Flowers, surprise dinners, long hugs, almost like he sensed a shift. One night, he took my face in his palms, eyes searching me. Do you still love me? Something flickered in me. Grief, fury, restraint. Yes, I whispered, but I don't know who you are anymore. His jaw tightened, but he nodded slowly and changed the subject. He didn't ask what I meant, which meant he already knew. The unraveling began subtly. Hannah's fiancé, yes, fiancé, called me one night. He was crying. Emily, I don't know how to say this, but something is wrong with Hannah. She's distant. I feel like she loves someone else. I froze. What makes you think that? Someone saw her with an older guy, and Daniel has been helping her lately. His voice cracked. She used to adore you. Now she avoids us. Shock ran through me. He didn't know. He was collateral damage, just like I was. I wanted to tell him everything. But instead, I said softly, keep watching her. Don't confront yet. His silence told me he understood more than he admitted. The climax of episode 2 began on an ordinary Thursday. A courier delivered an envelope to my door. Handwritten, no return address. Inside, a photograph. Daniel and Hannah, kissing in a parking lot. Another one, his hand on her belly. Date stamped, right before her abortion. And a note. You deserve truth. You're not crazy. M. Martha. I sank onto the stairs, the photos trembling in my hands. There was no denial left. I didn't cry. I printed the photos, scanned them, stored copies in multiple places. Then I walked upstairs. Daniel was shaving. Steam clouded the mirror. I stood in the doorway, watching his reflection. How was your day? He asked casually. My voice was steady. Life-changing. He smiled at the mirror. Sounds dramatic. I stepped closer. You have no idea. That night, after he fell asleep, I packed important documents, birth certificates, passports, everything Rebecca advised. I wasn't leaving yet, but preparation is power. Before episode 2 ends, there's one twist. Sunday afternoon, Hannah showed up at my door, alone, trembling. Emily, I need help. Her eyes were swollen, guilt carved into her face. I didn't invite her in. I stood in the doorway, blocking entry. What do you need? She whispered. Daniel is lying to both of us. I stared. Then she said the words that shifted everything. I wasn't the only one. Hannah stood on my porch like a ghost of the girl I once knew. Pale, shaking, mascara staining her cheeks. For a moment, I almost felt pity, until memory reminded me who she was in this story. Still, I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. "What do you mean? You weren't the only one?" I asked. Her voice cracked. "Daniel. He's been with other women. More than just me." The air tightened around us. I didn't ask how she knew. I already understood. Manipulation leaves patterns. She went on, wiping her nose. "I thought I was special. He told me we were soulmates, that you were cold, that your marriage was dead." "He used the same script," I murmured. Hannah looked up, eyes drowning. "He promised me a future, Emily. He forced the abortion." Those words made my stomach flip. "What?" She nodded frantically. "I didn't want to do it. I begged him. But he said it would ruin everything if anyone found out. He said I owed him." Disgust crawled through me. Daniel wasn't just a liar. He was a predator, disguised in loyalty, using proximity as camouflage. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked, struggling to steady my voice. She whispered, "Because I think he's going to hurt someone else. He's talking to another girl. Younger. Younger." The line between affair and abuse blurred into something monstrous. I didn't invite her in. I told her to go to Rebecca, my lawyer, and give a statement. She nodded, tears dripping, and hurried to her car. I watched her drive off, then went inside. Daniel sat on the sofa, scrolling on his phone, calm as ever. "Who was that?" he asked. "Wrong address," I lied. His eyes narrowed slightly. Something flickered. Suspicion. Fear? Or just ego sensing a shift? The next week was a war without noise. Rebecca helped me file for emergency separation, sealed motion, citing psychological risk. The judge signed off. Step 2 was subtle. Daniel's access to finances was quietly restricted. Joint cards flagged. Certain accounts froze. Step 3 was exposure, but not the screaming, plate-throwing kind. The legal, undeniable kind. Daniel walked into the kitchen Thursday morning, coffee mug in hand, wearing confidence like a suit. "Kids ready?" he asked casually. "Yes," I answered, stacking their lunchboxes. He leaned close. "Let's plan something this weekend, yes? Just us. A getaway. We need it." That was his instinct. Distract, romance, regain control. I slid a manila envelope across the counter. "Open it." Curiosity flashed, then dread. He tore it open. Photographs. Records. A copy of Hannah's clinic report. Storage locker documentation. Surveillance stills. Phone logs. He didn't speak. For the first time since I'd known him, Daniel's face looked truly naked, stripped of charm, facade, calculation. After a long silence, he muttered, "You don't understand." "I understand enough." His jaw clenched. "This is blown out of proportion." "No," I cut him off. "This is exactly proportionate. You manipulated women. You exploited someone who trusted you. You risked our family. His voice turned cold. The mask dropped. You don't get to ruin me. I stepped closer. You ruined yourself. That afternoon served him with 2 surprises. Separation notice. Protective order. He looked at me like a cornered animal. You can't do this, he whispered. I already have. He stormed out, slamming doors, ranting into his phone, calling someone. Probably Hannah, unaware she'd already turned. I shut the door and locked it. That was the first night I slept without fear of pretending. The fallout moved fast. Rebecca filed motions, Hannah gave testimony under sealed conditions, and Daniel's secret life peeled open. But the most crushing moment wasn't legal. It was emotional. 3 days later, Daniel appeared at the door unexpectedly, his suit wrinkled, eyes bloodshot. Can I come in? He asked. No. He swallowed. You don't know what it's like to live feeling invisible. That's not an excuse for destruction. He laughed bitterly. You think you know me? I stared at him. Really stared. Maybe I'm finally seeing you for the first time. His shoulders sagged. Do you love me at all? He whispered. I let the silence answer him. He turned and walked away. That was the moment our marriage died. Not when I discovered the truth, but when he realized I wasn't the version of me he controlled. 6 months passed. Court hearings, therapists, truths aired quietly behind closed doors. Daniel's professional life cracked, but didn't collapse. Men like him rarely fall publicly. Hannah moved across the state, in therapy, rebuilding identity. As for me, one afternoon, I walked through our garden barefoot. The kids played, laughter bouncing off the fence. Rebecca called, It's finalized. You're free. Free. The word didn't feel victorious. It felt like ashes washing away. I hung up, sat on the porch step, and let the sun hit my face. That's when it came. The first real breath I'd taken in months. Everyone asks if I hate Daniel. Hate is too simple. He is the ghost of a life I loved, and the architect of its ruin. I don't hate him. I pity him, because he will spend forever chasing the affection he destroys. The story ends where it began, in the quiet. A truth whispered by a stranger, a photograph, a decision. But here's the real ending. One evening, months later, Daniel came to pick up the kids. He paused at the door. You look different, he observed. I am. He tried for a smile. Maybe someday. No, I interrupted gently. We don't rewrite this story. He nodded once, stepped back, and walked away. I closed the door. Then I looked at my reflection in the hallway mirror. Not broken, not betrayed, rebuilt. That is the final chapter. Not discovering his secret life, but discovering my own resilience. Because some endings aren't explosions, they are quiet rebirths. And mine began the day I stopped believing his version of the truth and started writing my own.